You go online just a second.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Trail Talk. I'm Edie. Mary is going to come racing in any minute now. And we are live. Here she is. We are live at the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center in Duncan, Oklahoma. Thrilled to be back.
That's right.
So excited. So today we're going to go right back into the lesson we've had about Oklahoma State symbols and emblems today. The nickname and the motto.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're
So
gonna see some good stuff
good.
here.
This is good, meaty information,
That's
the
right.
kind you need.
Rips the hold of you.
That's right. Exactly. So first of all, the state nickname. Anybody know? Okay. You are correct. We are called the Sooner State.
That's right.
And even though all of these nicknames and models and everything, they almost always include some kind of House resolution, Senate resolution, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we've gone. You've seen us.
Yeah, a
Pass,
congressional passing
Right,
of something.
right.
This does not have any of that attached to it. It's simply
From get-go.
the Sooner State.
That's right.
It was good enough back in the day. It's good enough today. Nobody has to make it official, I guess.
That's right. It's
I
just an
guess.
accepted fact.
That's right. So, this, as I'm sure you guys are kind of thinking, it goes back to the days of the land runs. So I'm gonna go to a map. This is a map from 1892, which was kind of right in the middle of the 5 land runs.
Right.
Basically, but April 22nd, 1889, noon. That was the time.
Last.
That was the day when the unassigned lands were opened for a essentially first come first serve land grab.
Kind of like those Black Friday special. You know, the store is open, first come first grab.
Yes.
You get it.
Yeah.
You get what you get, and you get the
That, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But this was for 160 acres of land.
This was something that,
Except for filing fees, which were nominal, maybe $15-ish.
right.
The land was yours for free. The rules of all of that coincided with the rules of the Homestead Act of 1862. And, you know, so you had to be 21 years old, head of your household, you had to have a job.
Improvements.
Yeah, you have to 5 years to improve the land, then it's yours free and clear. So those were all the rules and everything. These unassigned lands, they were a part of, so 1830s, this is all Indian territory. 5 civilized tribes are removed from southeastern US, brought here after the Civil War. The land is kind of redistributed. The Plains tribes, other tribes from the US are brought in. So those 5 original tribes don't have as much land as they originally did. There's an area that was not attached to any Native American tribe called the unassigned lands. That was where the first land run happened, the 1889 land run.
Right.
So it's the people who went out before straight up noon and got themselves some land under some kind of questionable morals and things. I don't know.
A little gray area.
Moral, that be gray area might be better. Questionable morals might sound too harsh.
Right.
I mean, it was against the law.
Yeah.
But it was against the law according to the way the president, Benjamin Harrison, set up had made his proclamation. So the name came from the section of the Indian Appropriations Act of March 2nd, 1889, which is the act that Congress created to say, oh yeah, it's okay for us to give Indian territory away to settlers. The Indian Appropriations before that, the land was all Indian Territory was to remain
Mhm.
Indian Territory. Then the Indian Appropriations Act kind of tweaked that. So that was March 2nd, 1889. It said nobody would be permitted to enter upon and occupy the land before the designated time in the president's opening proclamation, and that those who did would be denied rights to the land. And this section of the Appropriations Act became known as the Sooner Clause.
Mhm.
So
Going in sooner
they,
than.
exactly. And so that is where this nickname of sorts for Sooners came along. Now, the reason that land was open to begin with was because of the boomers.
They had.
The boomers were trying to start a land boom. In other words, they were trying to get people to inhabit and settle and live on actually those unassigned lands. They were coming down from Kansas, led by a man named David Payne. Their success wasn't in them coming and settling there, but their success was in lobbying
For it to happen.
for it to happen in
Mhm.
Congress, and they are the ones who essentially did get the land boom started. It just didn't happen the way they thought it was going to happen. And so they estimate on Land Run Day that there were approximately 50,000 land seekers. And it was about 2 million acres of land
Mhm.
up for grabs.
So you have to think, some of these people are riding for miles and hours and days.
Mhm.
Some of them, just a
Mhm.
few.
Yeah, just a little ways, but this is a photograph from one of the land runs. There were 5 of them, and they were all conducted essentially the same way.
You can see there's someone back here on a
Yeah, a little buggy or a
Uh-huh.
little 2-wheeled
Yeah,
dog being
yeah.
pulled by, looks like a donkey or
Mhm,
something.
mhm.
These guys seem to be flying. Now, I don't know what the film speed was
Right,
in those
right.
days, but they seem to be really going
That's
fast.
definitely in the air.
Yeah. Yeah, it was already pretty dry.
Mhm.
Pretty dry
Right.
around. So anyway, the name Sooner goes back to all of that. So some Sooners were people like railroad workers
Mhm.
who were on the land because that's where they had to live and work. And so they had a legitimate reason to be there, but it did give them an unfair advantage
Yes, it
to
did.
grab. Some pieces of land are more desirable than others.
You've never
I mean-
seen this land before. You go out and you're
Kind of
familiar
scope
with
it
it.
out.
Kind of gives you an unfair advantage.
Right, especially, yeah, if you worked there,
Mhm.
you had probably some spare time to
Stakes
roam
them out
around.
and know
and
which
check
was better
it.
than others and.
Because if you look at this picture, there's not a tree,
Mm-mm.
no sign of a creek, river, nothing in
Looks
sight
like all
here.
home week, huh?
Yeah, yeah, so, the parts of the land that have a little level change, some
Right.
trees, some,
Creeks,
yeah,
water.
that sort of thing, that's gonna
Mhm.
be a much more desirable place. So a number of the Sooners claims later were contested, and some were overturned
Right.
because other people wanted that
Take
land.
claim to it,
So anyway, according to the Kentucky Historical Society, the early legal settlers of Oklahoma Territory had a very low opinion of Sooners. That began to change by 1908 when the University of Oklahoma adopted the name for its football team. Sorry, Christy,
the
no
meat.
offense, but
This is where.
this is where everything changes.
There's only one Oklahoma.
We've got an Oklahoma State fan in the room, but this is part of the story. This is why Sooners, being a Sooner, is no longer associated with all of that.
Bad connotation.
By the 1920s, the term no longer carried a negative connotation, and Oklahomans adopted the nickname as a badge of pride and progressivism. And so even our friends, our Oklahoma State friends, would say they have the pride and the progressivism that all Oklahomans have.
Right.
I mean, even Okies. I call myself an Okie, but that was a really
bad.
ugly,
Mhm.
bad word for
Right.
people, bad
Yeah.
name for people at one time. But
Derogatory.
now it carries that same pride and progressivism, stick-to-itiveness, and all of that. Although apparently never officially designated by a statute or resolution, Oklahoma has since been known as the Sooner State. So there you have it,
That's right.
Sooner State.
Mhm.
All right, next is our state motto, work conquers all things. Now, my Latin is a little iffy. I'll call it John Wayne Latin
Mine's non-existent.
because labor omnia vinci. That might have had a little Italian flair to it.
Like she said, she's an Okie.
Yeah. But this phrase was referred to as the state motto in the 1893 statute describing the Grand Seal of the territory of Oklahoma.
It's not yet a state.
Not yet a state.
Mhm.
We had, in those days, well, we could go back to that other map, actually. Oklahoma Territory, Indian Territory. Before statehood, there was the push for this to become the state of Sequoia.
Mhm.
And then this would be Oklahoma. But there was a territorial government, territorial governors.
Mhm.
Another trail talk we are gonna need to do sometime where our territorial governors. Anyway, so the territorial seal of Oklahoma and look, the Great Seal of the state of Oklahoma also carries the same motto. The Oklahoma Constitution includes the phrase in the description of the state seal, but does not officially define it as a motto. Yeah, it's right in here among these leaves. These, each of these pictures represent the 5 civilized tribes. Here is the kind of wedding ceremony where Oklahoma Territory and Indian Territory become one. They merge, become the state of Oklahoma. The stars represent, I think these were the 1, 2. These were the 9, I meant the 45 other states. This is the 46th star, which represents the state of Oklahoma. We did a thing on the state seal a while back. Yes. So anyway, this is all significant to our state. And until I studied this, I would not have told you that there was any other phrase that was our state motto.
With it.
Right. This was it.
Mhm.
This was all I had ever heard of. Now, work conquers all is an adaptation of a phrase in Virgil Georgic's Labor Omnia Vici Improbus, which means steady work overcame all things. It's a poem that was written, that you've heard of the poet Virgil from ancient times. It was written to support Augustus Caesar's quote unquote back to the land policy, which was meant to encourage more Romans to become farmers. So today, many people see this as a nod to the hardworking nature of our state's citizens. In reality, it's a tribute to organized labor, which was a significant political force in the formation of Oklahoma's constitution and early laws. This is talking about socialism. Back in the beginning of Oklahoma, there was a big socialist kind of movement. There was a large representation of people who felt like that would be the best form of government for the farmer, for organized labor,
Right.
all of that. And so that's why the influence was so strong. And that's why they feel like this was used as our state motto. But I found an article from the Mercury dated 2021. It says the Oklahoma House on Monday approved a resolution declaring Oklahoma, in God we trust, as the state's official motto, adding the state name and an exclamation point to distinguish it from the U.S. and Florida mottos. We know the U.S. motto is in God we trust. It's on our money, right? I mean, that's something people have talked about for ages. But Oklahoma, in God we trust, exclamation mark.
That's it just a little bit different.
Yes, it makes it a little bit different, and it was brought to the House by a Democrat from Prague whose last name was Morgan, He said, I'm going to call what is now located on our seal as our state slogan and let "In God We Trust" be our motto. I think they can run parallel to each other. Now, some people contested this. They thought that it was, well, there's someone quoted here, Ryan Kiesel, a former Democratic lawmaker who now works for the ACLU, said, this is 2021. The entire idea of adopting a new motto is a waste of time and a slight to the state's residents who may not believe in God. I think it's a frivolous waste of legislative time and takes away from the sincere meaning of our current state motto and discounts the fact that Oklahoma has believers and non-believers alike. So, now, this same representative, I found an AP article from 2012 where a similar thing was happening. Representative Morgan wanted this to be the state motto. Representative Kiesel was saying this is a waste of time. So I am not 100% certain when this actually happened. Other things I read said that earlier attempts were to have "In God We Trust" like put on walls in every state building and things like that. And, you know, there have been attempts with the 10 Commandments and all of those things. But evidently 2021 is the most recent time where I found that it sounded like it passed. And so this appears to actually be our state motto. Now, if anyone watching this has any information that is
concrete,
yes, or is different from anything that we've shared today, please let us know, because I really would like to get to the bottom of it.
right?
There's just a lot of
Contradictions.
yeah, and a lot of these things on the internet that make it sound like this happened multiple times.
Right.
And so I really couldn't figure out when this actually happened.
If it's just laid to rest.
Yes, or if it actually happened in 2021.
That's just when it was
Or
printed.
right before or whatever. So there you have it. The Sooner State, Oklahoma, Labor Omnia Vitae, Oklahoma, "In God We Trust," "In God We Trust," with an exclamation mark.
That's right.
I don't know. I'm just gonna say
It's a Sooner State, we know that.
it's a Sooner State. It's a great place to live.
That's right.
I'm glad to be here.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. So, having said all that, I hope you all learned a great deal of information today. Have a little extra cool trail talk happening tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Karen Sneed, Karen Sneed Partee. I apologize, Karen, if you see this. Her last name is Partee now. Her dad is Bob Sneed, and we currently have his a collection of his pieces of art titled Buffalo Soldier. It is an incredible collection. It's moving. It's so great, but he has passed away. And so his daughter Karen is going to join us through Zoom, and we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about his art and give you just a little glimpse at some of the pieces that we have from his collection that are here and will be here through the end of February. So
Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
Yeah, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And if you're planning to go to the Duncan Area Arts Hall of Fame and see our dear friend Jay Snyder receive our Lead Writer Award Saturday night, get your ticket. There's still time to get tickets. You can get them as you walk in the door. It starts at 6:30. So come and join us there. And otherwise, I'll see you in the morning.
That's right.
So until then,
Happy
happy trails.